Hello, my name is Jordan Maclean, and today I will talk to you about a paper titled Card Confessions, Unravelling Digital Bridge During Lockdown that has been developed with Professor Samantha Punch and Michael Su of BAMSA. Since the onset of COVID-19, there have been several public confessions to cheating from international players in the online version of the card game Bridge. Whilst cheating is a perennial issue in the world of elite sports, little is known about how bridge compares as a mind sport. Confessions have also been used in other sports, such as cycling. The aim of this paper is to examine a public confession from an international bridge player and the responses from the bridge community. We first look at the Foucaultian theoretical framing, then the study methods and the analysis of a confession of an international bridge player and responses from the bridge community. A Foucaultian theoretical lens is proposed for conceptualizing the confession of an elite level bridge player. Dating back to the 1st and 2nd centuries, Foucault makes a link between the practice of penance and the exercises of the aesthetic life, which is organized between wrongdoing and truth-telling. The problem of the flesh is a mode of experience and subjectification. The practice of penance for wrongdoing is to lead to the aesthetic life in the form of truth-telling. Foucault also talks about the technologies of the individual in the form of penitential discipline, monistic asceticism, forgiveness of wrongdoing in the manifestation of truth and the discovery of the self. Until the 2nd century, baptism was the only ecclesiastical act that could ensure the remission of sins. Baptism cleanses by erasing and purifying sins away, a sign in the way that the baptismal water is the seal of the Son of God, a new birth as it restores life. Some have called this a second birth, and it illuminates by pouring a light on the soul. Penance is preparation through training, exercised from the start of baptism and afterward throughout the Christian's entire life. Penance designates two things. First, change of the soul, and second, manifestation of this change in the acts that allow it to be certified. It must be a proof of oneself. The first act of probation is an interrogatory investigation, which involves rounds of questions and responses about a candidate's status, occupation, and lifestyle. Second, tests of exorcism to see if those who wish to be baptized are pure. And third, the confession of sins is the focus of which we turn to next. The confession of sins is distinguished from baptism in the way that it's an act that a candidate performs himself among the other exercises of piety and asceticism. This involves exomologesis, in which one manifests one's awareness that one has sinned as they move from sinfulness to grace. Just as the water of baptism washed away former sins, one asks the tears of repentance to wash away the failures that have occurred since baptism. The second recourse was established for already baptized sinners who have lapsed, called the second penance, and is distinguished from baptism. Requested by the Christian who has committed a grave sin by asking the bishop for the possibility of becoming a penitent, or is exhorted to become one if a priest knows about his sin. Granted by a bishop and received through penitential exercises that lasts months or years. Therefore, penance has been regarded as the laborious baptism. After reconciliation, the former penitent does not return to the status they formerly held. They are marked, forbidden to become a priest. Public responsibilities are not permitted, as well as certain professions. The penitent must testify like a martyr by placing himself at the threshold of death to make it clear that this body he humiliates is only of dust and death, and that true life is elsewhere. The method involves the confession of a self-kibitzer, of an in-depth case study of a young world champion who was caught cheating online, and subsequently confessed publicly on the online social media platform Bridge Winners. Two data sources include the confession and public responses that provoked over 1,500 comments. Data from public responses were initially sorted into themes due to the volume of comments. This was followed by using a concept as method approach, which is inspired by thinking with Foucault, where the confession is an entry point into the analysis, followed by unravelling public responses. Starting with the confession, we come to see that the confessor did not come forward to confess, but rather is confronted by Bridge Base to confess. This is similar to the confession in the apostolic tradition, where one is exhorted to become one if a priest knows about his sin. The grave sin is identified, self-kibitzing, in which we get a sense of how it works by accessing hand records, and how she was easily coerced into this sinful behaviour, an addiction possibly to winning. There is confusion in her confession between the sin being a type of cheating, but the confessor's denial of being a cheater. However, she then recognises by the end of the confession that she had been cheating, lays her cards on the table, and asks for forgiveness. We can say from this that the confessor has taken us through her confession of sin. Exomologesis, which designates the act the sinner is expected to perform in an external act. Although we did not see this external act in the confession, there is a sense of the confessor expressing here their own truth. Also, we get a sense of penitence in the repetition of words such as sorry and apologize to the Bridge community, as well as the impact of her confession will have on the future of the game. Some consider the use of confessions as demonstrating that the committee is vigilant and taking online play very seriously, that no one is immune to falling from grace, dissuades some of us who are contemplating cheating. And for the individual, I believe that confession is an essential step on the long road to redemption. But another individual believes that the confessor's confession was forced, as she did not come out and admit it. She was caught and had to confess. Another said, if you wanted the first iota of sympathy from anyone, the time for your confession was before you were busted, not after. We start to get a sense of the varied forms of penitence should take after the confession from public responses. Some differentiated between individual and organizational punishment, where the confessor receives a lifetime ban playing professional, while others proposed the possible prohibition of being allowed to represent the US in international competition. Another said that the confessor imposes self-exile from all Bridge activity for 52 weeks, while the Bridge Base organisation, a community service sentence in which the confessor is expected to conduct a lecture once per week at the middle or high school, community or regular college, or at a local senior centre. She then submits proof of compliance and is welcomed back. One individual develops a threefold typology for punishment. 1. Individuals who come forward and voluntarily confess. 2. Individuals who need to be privately confronted. And 3. Individuals who need to be tried and convicted. Another individual outlined what they call a Bridge Cheats Register. This is a register for cheats with a record of what they did, fines they paid, and any continuing involvement in Bridge could achieve this. Acts of contrition could be documented on such a register, and they could help the Bridge playing public and the offenders. Another individual differentiated between punishment for professional and non-professional players. A 3 or 6 month vacation for that is way too light. It should be at least a year. And whack them some master points while you're at it. I agree, it should be more severe for a pro-level player. They should be expelled and allowed to reapply after 5 or 10 years. Some determine punishment on the basis of the type of cheating committed. Self-kibitzers are willing to cheat if no one else knows. Collusive cheats are willing to cheat when at least one other person knows. So I suggest that collusive cheats are more likely to re-offend, and perhaps should receive longer bans for that reason. We get a sense of how the confessor is marked by her actions when one individual made a comparison to religion for how the confessor's reputation is the equivalent of the scarlet letter, where, like Hester, who wore an A for adulteress, the confessor now wears a C for cheater. Undoing the logic of the game, what could possibly destroy the game more for fellow competitors and fans than looking at the hands while you play? And doubt of past performances. I played a Swiss match against the confessor's team. She was at the other table. We got clobbered. The results at the other table where she played were unbelievably good. She is a very talented bridge player. It is certainly possible that she produced those results without aid of self-kibitzing. The problem is, in light of her admission of cheating online, the possibility of her results being legit dropped significantly. Cheating was considered breaking the rules of the game to gain an advantage. In the confessor's case, I've played on teams with her and had absolutely no doubt about her ethics. Another said, this is somewhat on behalf of bridge players in the Washington, D.C. area. We remember when the confessor was a newcomer to the Washington Bridge League Thursday night game, catching a ride from one of her local players. We were proud of her meteoric rise in bridge. But another individual said that ethical players do not cheat. Some made a distinction between face-to-face and online bridge. I believe the confessor can recover from this in time and would never cheat in real life. Another confirmed this by saying, I don't play as well as online as face-to-face. It doesn't seem real to me. Whereas others rejected such distinctions, I also think online bridge is real bridge for many, including me, and I don't agree with anyone who thinks cheating in online bridge should get a pass because it isn't real bridge. One individual stressed the importance of online bridge in the form of a question. Have you any idea how many families are being supported through virtual clubs and the regionals? Another referred to online bridge as real because the money I am spending is definitely real, and if the community does not treat this as real, the real money will dry up to some extent. One individual used a disease metaphor to describe a pandemic of cheating, but another individual made clear that COVID is not shaping character, it is revealing it. This pathological disease will kill the game and take away the pleasure and education to many bridge enthusiasts. And even worse, because to see someone so young and talented representing our game in an aging game that now looks like it's going off the cliff. Another individual made a link to cheating as a form of addiction, which infers some kind of disease. Strange as it may seem, this pandemic may prove just the ticket for a healthy rebirth. Concluding thoughts. First, prevention. To find a vaccine for preventing as opposed to punishing cheating. Links can be made here to sport management research, with the development of frameworks for corruption and fraud, integrity management frameworks, and the formation of regulatory bodies. Second, detection. Through the creation of an anti-cheating committee. As a result of the cheating incident, there have been several accusations that have cast suspicion on everyone that isn't playing right now, and if unchecked, will do near irreparable damage to the game we all love. A committee must be of the highest integrity and proven bridge excellence. In youth sports studies, Lee and colleagues and Sam Paul et al. Have developed psychological questionnaires for detecting attitudes to cheating and fair play. However, others viewed the creation of such a committee leading to endless witch hunting, and this is consistent with Moller and Daimio on the World Anti-Doping Agency in cycling. Thirdly, calls to action. Several individuals and groups were called upon, such as bridge organisations, leagues and professional players, clients, lawyers, and some individuals took it upon themselves. Similar calls have been made in other sports, such as NASCAR, Formula One, and cricket. Thank you for listening. If you would like to follow up or follow me on Twitter, please see details on this slide. For references, these are the 2 pages for your own reference. Thank you.